It's a little small.
Some people will go like that, but literally you always go like this. So,
With the,
but it's hard sometimes for people to go like that.
yeah, I'm crooked. I can't do it.
My head naturally does it. Welcome. I'm just waiting for Jerry. We're waiting for one person to come. Wait.
Oh, that's right, that's right. Okay, sure. So.
Do you want to say your technology? That's a easier place.
Space. Enterprise. Seek out new missions. Oh, no matter.
Little for it. Just gonna go ahead and go and tonight. We said other about Leonard Nimoy. I see that inspiration when it's as large as it is. Environmental sciences now, fascinating space and space travel, and all of this that was involved in Star Trek. Obviously, my biggest passion with Leonard Nimoy was through Star Trek. So
And we were really interested in some of the things Leonard Nimoy did for Star Trek too. At a certain career, he was very much Star Trek aside and not have that be his legacy. He kind of accepted that as went on, but he was a great poet, a great photographer. So we're going to talk about a little bit of those things too. The thing we thought of was we're going to do a little presentation, but we want to have this a chance for you guys to mingle or Spock or Leonard Nimoy, whatever you want, as part of this event, and have some cake and some drinks.
So we're also thinking that as we go through the slides, if you know something that's an interesting bit of information, because we are not experts on his life, while we might be like absolutely fascinated with Star Trek, we're not experts in every aspect of his life. Please let us know what you know, what you want to share. But, he was beloved as Mr. Spock, and he did a lot more. And he was a poet and a writer. And he came out with the I Am Spock. It was like about 1976, something like that. Or I'm sorry, I'm Not Spock. Sorry, 1970. Of course, that caused a big controversy because everyone so adored him as Spock. And he didn't mean to, according to everything that I've read about it, reject Spock as a legacy character, but to say I'm more than just Spock. And despite the protestations of his publishers, they said, no, don't name this book that. And he was like, yes, I'm going to name this book that. It only makes sense. It's logical. And so he, as he went through time, and he saw what a big row that caused. And then later, when he came out with the Leonard Nimoy, he actually talks about that in that book. And that was in like 90 or I don't remember. I think it was maybe 1997. And then he even has sort of a dialogue with himself as Spock in that book about different aspects of his career and life. Mm-hmm. And he was also a poet. He wrote many books of poetry. One example is Little I Think of You.
I actually have a poem. So I'll read it. This one is called "You and I Have Learned," which I think is pretty appropriate to his legacy here. You and I have learned. You and I have learned the song of love, and we sing it well. The song is ageless, passed on heart to heart by those who have seen what we see and know we know. And love before ours, and to share this, share what we have.
We all children are loved. And so.
Yeah, please.
Uh, that mankind could only gather in one circle, arms on each other's shoulders, and dance, laugh, and cry together, then much of the tension and burden of life would fall away, in the knowledge that we are all children, needing and wanting each other's comfort and understanding. We are all children searching for love.
Very nice. So, what a complex individual. So yes, he was Spock for sure, but he was also more than Spock. And then another interesting thing that he did for a period of time, and this was around 95 to 97, he was involved in this comic collection called Prime Mortals, Leonard Nimoy's Prime Mortals. And this was being off, spin-off that like ancient in if some of you are deciding what I'm talking about. This is Indians with early history, maybe modified and spurred their evolution on, and it's part of this comic story there. And so kind of just a very interesting, very artistic individual with a lot of different interests. Okay, go ahead and play this for me.
Sure. One thing you need to do is turn off your phone so that doesn't play.
Yeah.
And then this should work.
And remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have a story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare with you
This is called something like Spock Thoughts, I believe.
always
It was on an album he did with Shatner called Spaced Out, which I will admit, Leonard Nimoy's talent may not have been singing, but he put up a good face. So.
He's a good primary.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And if you want to hear him sing Ruby, it's on that album.
That's good too.
But let this not blind you from what virtue there is. Many persons strive for my ideals. Everywhere
Okay, so we're going to move on a little bit here. Obviously, he was a singer-songwriter.
Space.
And some of his original albums, 5 musical albums, were Leonard Nimoy's Mr. Spock's music from in 67, Two Sides of Leonard Nimoy, 68, The Way I Feel, 68, The Touch of Leonard Nimoy, 69, The New World of in 1970, and then Spaced Out. A lot of the songs were recorded in 68, but it was released in 97.
Angela, we should have
a
all
real retro look.
Sorry, the list.
Yeah. And you'd be interested in hearing the
Sure.
Let's see if we can play that. And hopefully we can all not as big with the back here. Okay.
The unmuted caption should be on the speaker.
That's weird. I don't know what's- Okay. doing a kind of strange thing on me today. It's telling me it's playing, but then here we go. There we go. Yeah, I was having trouble with this earlier. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on with this because I know that if I turn this off and re-initialize it, it won't work again. But we'll come back hopefully while we're having some cake with some music from the album Spaced Out, including the Logic song. Okay. And then he was a photographer. He began his photography as a child and then he studied photography at the U of Los Angeles. When he was 13 years old, built that he kept he built it himself and used to do all kinds of photography. And he was very eclectic, including he did everything from like nudes, sort of religious, spiritual pieces to just bits of average people. And he was really known for his advanced thoughts on, long before the sort of like, I guess in women and gender studies, they call it the body rights movement, like trying to portray women as a full range of body sizes and shapes instead of the traditional Barbie figure. He was very much into photography that way, and he would photograph the full range of women, and that was very early on. He was also actually a big supporter of women's rights on the Star Trek series because he was always lobbying during that period of time for the equal pay of women on the Star Trek series, and I don't think a lot of people knew that. So
photography to show the self. So supposedly, they look which is like the rest of us. So he was trying to portray an also. This it was that kind of so a lot of stuff.
Does anybody know? Did exhibits?
Remember
One was
this
a Carnegie exhibit, and then there was another one out in California, but I can't remember the name. I didn't know if there were any photography buffs of these. Maybe you're just finding out. You can check it out on the web, the different types of photography that he did. Okay, and then, what is your favorite remembrance of Leonard Nimoy? I put this one for Julie because she said that Tribbles is her favorite. So when I talked to her about coming, she said the Tribbles.
Well, it was Saturday night on MeTV. They had the just because they took out a scene and a conversation. But the best scene is at the end where he sees Kirk's Eliza, Jim! And then, of course, Spock, and of course, McCoy, later is like, you were just about to bring the house down. No way. Yeah, and pig's eye.
I like that scene too. That's one of my favorites.
He's emotional there, and it's his human side is popping out. Somebody else?
You're talking about social activism when they made the animated series to recast Nichelle Nichols and George Takei's voice actors. They were just going to have, I think, Jimmy Dillon do their voices. And he refused to sign on to do the voice unless they brought in Takei and Nichols.
Excellent. Because he was being really co-workers.
I was going to say one of the interesting things I found out when I was looking at that biography was true is that his father was a barber, and I kept thinking, if he watched Star Trek, wasn't he like, how do you get that haircut? He must have just been such
Actually, it tells about, I'm reading I Am Spock right now.
Oh, yeah,
It tells
okay.
about in there.
good.
Just something about they wanted him to have, wanted him to look as alien as possible. But part human too.
Yeah.
And it had to do,
Oh,
and fitting the ears. Oh,
Anyone say anything?
So it's season 1, episode 25, Devil in the Dark. When going to find out why those miners were killed on Janus 6, mining for Virginia. And when Spock did that mind melt with the Horta, and he's pain, and you really get that scope of what the Horta was feeling, that was interesting to me as a child growing up, and that always kind of stuck with me.
And you did some work with that, right?
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I developed that character. In 2009, I developed a character because the Horta was a female silicon-based life form, and so I kind of took it from like a man's point of view. I made the Dada Horta, kind of play on Dada, the Dada as in Dada for art and for so I made like a male Dada Horta taking revenge of all of my silicon-based children, which were those little balls. So that was made, and then so on at Riverside in 09, me and a Spock character, we had done we did that on stage, and we kind of did like a fun little thing. But yeah, the Spock that character in that show just kind of, it was just interesting because you see him so logical, but then here you see him, really feeling it's somebody else's pain.
Where he had to say pain.
Yeah.
Is that the one where he and Shatner got into a big disagreement and fight because Shatner kept cutting up and making him do the scene again and again, where he had to yell pain?
According to the book.
Yeah. And
And
then
he writes it out in the book.
And then he did a perfect scene, and then Shatner yells out, "Get that man an aspirin," and ruins it.
Yeah.
And then they didn't talk for like something.
That's because that was his father. Shatner's father passed away during that, and he didn't want to leave. He stayed, and that's why his favorite episode was. That's when a lot of the crew consoled him for the loss of his.
So are we saying that William Shatner stayed and worked and missed his own father's funeral?
No.
No.
No. They had him
Yeah.
film the part that he was in, and then he left to go to the funeral, and they filmed some other stuff, and then when he came back,
I was gonna say,
And so he had
great shades of
actually-
controversy.
they had filmed the pain part while he was gone, and that's where he was working with him, because when he came back, Spock was telling him how he did it, or Nimoy was telling him how he did it, and that's when Kirk was making fun of him.
Okay. Oh, thought over it. Okay. All right. Excellent. Interesting. Okay. Anyone else?
I do have fond memories from college of one night being drunk out of my mind with some friends singing Highly Illogical on my balcony over and over and over.
We have that song. I hopefully he did it to play.
Everybody.
So people, that's great.
But I also, and this is an extremely recent memory because it was a few days ago, but I have 7-month-old twins, and they're just at the age that we're starting to read to them. And it was really nice that when he passed away, one of the first books that they ever read to them is his book of poetry. And so we actually dressed them up in little uniforms.
Yeah, great.
Classic.
Yeah. Anyway. Just for people's interest, if you want to see the first time he ever played an alien, and we don't have time to show it, I do have the available on my
Yeah,
Amazon
maybe we could
Prime
run
account.
it too, maybe during the cake or something.
Yeah, maybe
Up to
we
you.
could hop on there. He plays a Martian, and this is from 1952, and Republic Serials made these short little chapters that sometimes they would play before feature-length movies, but they would also show them on early TV. And you can get the whole 20 chapters, which is like over 2 hours. And he is in there. I mean, he's not like the leading Martian, but you can definitely tell it's him. And he's in there. And there's these kind of shades of Spock. Those are all sort of reserved. I mean, so if you watch it, see what's really worth it. It's like $3 on Amazon Prime. And it's neat for 1952 TV. Of course, the spacecraft is shooting out smoke and being pulled along on a wire. And then they have a guy with a pack who jumps into the air and flies. He does put on a metal helmet, though, to protect him from, things he might run into as he's jetting along at hundreds of miles an hour. And this is a pretty interesting take of photos from outtakes, and I thought you would like this. It's definitely worth watching. It's about 4 minutes. We'll find a lot of nice photos in there.
Here in about 10 seconds. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
It was a great collection of the good stuff. So. Thank you.
Breakout.
With the cake, I think there's so many of that. Just kind of get it started, and you take the size of 51.
I didn't do plenty.
All right, man. I will see you. That's it.
Anybody need a picture before we pass? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a camera on me. I got
I got it.
I can send you.
We all got photos.
I think we all got photos, we're good.
Yeah, I think I got it. Okay.
We're ready.
Just got it started there. You just come and grab a slice of the as you want and
Stick
get
whatever
a
you want
plate
there,
and
and there's
go
soda
ahead.
there. Some